What's going on, folks? Your boy, Dr. Sean Thomas, back in the building with the Be More Today show. We are back. We are back. We are back in the building, folks. And here we are, episode 149 for season 5 of the Be More Today show. We are back here and we're cruising and grooving now, folks, doing everything we can in the month of June. It's been great. It's been great continuing to showcase the great people who are doing great things in this world. Again, Be More Today show has been a movement for the last 5 years, putting on people who are doing great things in the world of health and fitness. And this week is no different. As always, folks, just check out Be More Today for your more merch, any inspiration about our Steps to Greatness Challenge, which again starts July 1st for this year. And for all those who are continuing to follow the podcast, now heard in 82 countries, over 61,000 downloads. Again, your love and support has pushed this show to be great. And I appreciate everyone who listened to the show from day one to today. I appreciate you so much. Your support does not go unnoticed. Our quote for today is simple as always. Movement is not just about physical health. It is a powerful remedy for the soul. In the rhythm of our steps and the beat of our hearts, we find a path to vitality and peace. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but this year I said I wanted to be more in so many ways. I did my 21st Spartan race, which I haven't done Spartan races since COVID. In the last 4 years, I've just kind of been doing road races and being outside. But back to the hills of Spartan was amazing. And it's always so cool to see what the body can do, especially when you're always training. And people always say, "What are you training for?" You're always training. You're always working out. You're always doing stuff. But I'm just training just to be able to move whenever I want to move, not to have to like train for anything, but be able to move whenever I want to go out there and do something. From the Valerie 5K that I did with our company, Jag Physical Therapy, we raised $900,000 for that. I ran that on a Saturday, and then the next day did my Spartan race in Woodstock, Bethel, New York, and that was amazing. So to be able to go out there and do back-to-back events at the age of 43, I'm happy to be able to do that. And movement is the medicine that I always need. It gives me peace. It gives me the strength that I need to go out there and just be able to move. I love that ability. And there's someone who I know in this life who is as active as I am. And I just say that because I've been following his Instagram pages for a long time now. And every time I look at his page, he's doing something that's just insane. And sometimes it's not even insane at all, but he's always moving. He's always putting out good content for those who want to move from various levels, from your everyday athlete to your everyday weekend warrior to your everyday worker, just showing you how to be able to go out there and do functional activities to stay always on the move. And his name is Christian Orlando. Now, Christian Orlando is a doctor of physical therapy who is dedicated to help people maximize their physical potential and minimize limiting factors such as pain or stiffness, especially when it comes to bridging the gap between rehabilitation for activities of daily living and sports performance. Christian received a degree in exercise science while playing college football, where he underwent some injuries, which ignited his passion for health and wellness. After becoming a certified athletic trainer, he started working for multiple physical therapy companies and as an outreach clinician, helped hundreds of athletes recover from injuries of their own. By studying to become a certified strength and conditioning specialist, Christian continued to further his knowledge in the field of fitness. He works with elite level athletes as well as working class adults in multiple gyms around Brooklyn. He also works with clients through his own app, CorePT, available on all platforms. Christian has a unique approach to health and fitness. He prioritizes the health of his clients' joints and muscles by restoring flexibility and emphasizing proper mechanics, making it possible for them to reach their fitness goals without pain. He understands that there is a need to bridge the gap between healthcare and fitness, and he believes that no injury should ever stop someone from doing something that they love, whether you're striving for success on the field or on the court, or simply wanting to live a pain-free life and to peak in your physical condition. He has you covered. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my old friend, my old colleague, and my new fellow DPT, Christian Orlando. Corlando, what is going on?
What's going on, Sean? Thank you for that intro, and thank you for having me on.
Listen, man, it's been a cool journey, right? For those who don't know, you and I worked together. You were actually one of the aides that worked with me back in the days of one-on-one, back in the days. And it's been so amazing seeing your progression from that to what you're doing now. I love the progression. There are a number of people who were working with us around the same time you were, and they're all graduating now and they're all getting to the profession. And I love to see the journey. And you, sir, have been putting in some work. I gotta say, you've been putting in some work in social media and also in the healthcare field. So I gotta just ask you, looking at your journey now from the 8 days to now ATC certified, CSCS certified, and now officially a doctor of physical therapy. Do you think that the journey of being an aide and being able to observe and learn during that time, was it helpful at all in terms of what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I think working with guys like you, working with guys like Gio, just working under great clinicians that just number one had very good values in terms of whether it was like you said, movement, exercise, um, and also had very good empathy for their patients. So that was one thing that I really picked up on was the way you guys kind of talk to your patients, the way you guys carried yourself when you communicate with your patients. So it wasn't like I'm so high and mighty above you. No, it's more of, let's be friends, let's work together, let's try to, get to that common goal. So I guess from the social, personal aspect, that was a big takeaway for me because there would be times where it would get very hectic in the clinic, seeing a lot of people, a high volume of people, and I would always look back to you. I'd look back to Gio, and you guys would always just be this cool, calm, level-headed, poisonous about you. And that was one thing where personally I struggled with because I was running back and forth doing this and that, and there would be times where I would have a patient and I'd be stressed out that I'd be quick with them. I'd do something quick with them, and it's like I'd look back to you guys, and it would just be kind of like oh, snap out of it, like we're here to help them, so let's slow it down a little, let's take our time, let's like I said, be a little more empathetic. So I think to me that was my biggest takeaway, and I think that helped me the most in terms of my journey. So in terms of my clinical experience at other clinics, my ability to work at other places as an athletic trainer, and then the other piece of it was as an athletic trainer when I got my certification. That's when I was working as an aide. So that was cool because I had a little more knowledge, so I was able to use the modalities in the clinic. I was able to deliver therapeutic exercise with a little more ease. So I did learn a lot there, but I think someone coming straight into the profession as an aide or a physical therapist aide would have you learned so much more too because you were never exposed to this. So once you're exposed to that as an aide, it's like now you're saying, all right, this person came in with this, and this is what they're gonna have them doing. So now I know what exercises could help with what. So those are to me the biggest takeaways from working at one on one.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think in any profession, if you can look at it and see what's happening before you really get into it and like it, then it's destined for you. And I agree. I think the empathy piece is the one part that I wish others would take away from, especially when it comes to healthcare. Because anyone can learn modalities, you can learn anatomy, physiology, you can learn all the exercises, you can learn strategies, etc., certify whatever else. But if you don't have empathy for your patients, to be able to connect with them and to care for them, whether that's on the field, whether that's in the clinic, you're doing a disservice to the profession of healthcare. So I'm glad you took that away from us. And um, the big thing that we share in common is that we all want people to move. And you and I have a passion for movement. I mean, I've been seeing you doing your things for a long time now on Instagram, and looking at your story um of injuries. I didn't realize that you and I have similar stories of being injured and how injuries propelled you into this field. So I'm curious for you. Movement is very powerful for me. Why is it so powerful for you, and why are you so dedicated to help others move better as they continue to get older?
Yeah, so I think movement is great for everybody. Obviously, Different types of movement is good for different types of people. With that being said, I think over the past, I guess, few years, I've learned how powerful movement actually is. Um, you know, whether that be someone who's trying to prevent chronic illness, or that be maybe someone who's trying to just lose a few pounds before the summer, or even somebody who's trying to perform at their best on the field or court, or even just in a recreational setting. So I think movement in all facets of the healthcare field is just so important. And then where it was interesting because the last few months, I wouldn't say my idea of movement has changed, but it's definitely been a little more refined. I did a clinical rotation at Exos Physical Therapy down in like Florida, Alabama border, Pensacola, and that was probably one of the coolest, most educational experiences I've had. Um, it was just we learned one, we got to work with a lot of NFL athletes, high ranked military athletes, and I learned a few very key principles. So it was just a few very key principles that we would base all of the training around. And I just wanted to share a few of those. One of them was how gravity plays such a key component in everything that we do, and how we could kind of manipulate gravity to, um, get what we want by just placing patients in or ourselves in certain positions. So, with that being said, gravity, when we're young, we could, we just have very good posture. We're standing up tall, just like at the beginning of the day. We have good posture, standing up tall. As we get older, as the day goes on, we find ourselves slouching more, crouching more. So that's just an example of how gravity plays a role in our body and our body mechanics. Um, Another big piece of that is thinking about movement as more of a three different components to it. So I like to think of it as an absorption component, so your ability to absorb forces, a transfer component, your ability to transfer forces from one position to the next, and then your ability to produce forces. So, being able to accelerate and move your body fast out of a position. And these specific forces, these specific movements, they're all done in very predictable, very specific patterns in relation to gravity, as I said. So one big thing that they would always, hit home at Exos was they would always go over. They would just show this one image of like a stick figure in like a running position,
Mhm.
and they would always link injuries or workout protocols back to running, because running or walking is probably the most functional thing we could do as therapists. And I thought that was so cool. And not only was it cool, but it kind of made the experience a lot simpler for me. And it kind of made training and programming a lot simpler for me. And if you really think about it and break down a running stance, I'm going to try my best, but it's probably best to do it on paper, but I'll try my best to explain it. It's like when we're running, if let's say our left leg is moving forward, I'm flexing my hip forward, I'm driving my knee forward. As I'm doing that, I'm getting a slight internal rotation, slight adduction. So we're kind of hitting all those pieces at the hip, all those planes at the hip, thinking about what's happening up the chain. So up the chain as I go up, I'm working thoracic lumbar rotation towards that knee. I'm working shoulder flexion on one of the arms, shoulder extension on one of the arms with some internal external rotation components there, as well as cervical rotation. So I think, and then thinking about it on the other hip, we're working hip extension. We're working that same sling going up. Um, Other shoulder extension, shoulder flexion, rotating the other way. So I think when I was piecing that together, I was like, wow, like running and walking literally, if you think about it, hit every muscle you could possibly hit.
Yeah.
And yes, there's ways you can manipulate it. There's ways you can make it easier. There's ways you can make it harder. And that was another cool part about the rotation was they kind of took this movement, took this pattern, and broke it down to the key components of, okay, now how can we progress, say, a person that's non-weight bearing from this maybe sideline position, maybe working on things like a DNS star, which is like working like it's like a side plank with the clamshell. And how can we incorporate as much of these movements into a one exercise, and then maybe progressing from that sideline position to a kneeling position to a standing position, standing to a split position, split to a single leg, and progressing from there progressing as long as they have the right core engagement,
Right.
positioning at their hips, glute engagement, um, things that we know as therapists, and just to see it done in such a efficient or you know, rule-like manner. Because for me, I love like I have these rules, I have this um, you know, this structure. It really helps to kind of go about programming people. And with that being said, obviously everyone isn't going to follow the structure to the T. Everybody's very different, and that's where I think the adaptability part is so important. But going back to what to learning at Exos, it was such a cool experience because it was so many different progressions. Like there was so many ways to manipulate it, but the main takeaway was just it all comes back to those foundational principles in a way.
Yeah. And you know what's cool about that? I think that being able to see that anyone can progress anyone to do whatever they want to do, right? No matter what baseline is. If you know the principles of anatomy, you can really progress anyone to be better. Even the best, most fit person, right? You say you work with elite athletes and high military ranked people. Even those people who are in tip top shape can still do more things if you tweak the system a little bit, if you challenge the fundamentals of gravity and single leg stance and core activation, all those different things to still be better in their craft. And that's the beauty of physical therapy. That's the beauty of healthcare, really. You can still get people to be better no matter where they are in the chain. And I think that the best therapists and the best clinicians are the ones who can see that thing and be able to flip it, in various ways. So I'm glad you got that experience. And, one of the things that I took from that conversation, you talking about running, is that running, I've never gotten hurt running. I mean, minor aches and pains and strains, whatever else, but the major injuries I had came from playing basketball. They came from doing other things that were, very, very aggressive, lots of torque, lots of twisting, high velocity movements. I tore my meniscus twice, once in high school, once in college. So I had two knee surgeries on the same knee, and that's how I got into physical therapy. And I've learned so much from those experiences about the patient experience, what it really feels like to not be able to move, what it feels like to not be able to move your knee, what it feels like to physically, yes, but also emotionally, what it feels like to have to come back from an injury, to not trust your body, to not think that you're gonna ever come back as fast or as strong as you were before. And I experienced that as a college athlete, but I also experienced that as a clinician. I recently actually had a boot on about 3 weeks ago for a foot injury, and it wasn't anything that was bad. It was a cut I had on my foot. It was a blister that actually burst during a race, and I actually ran my second best half marathon time ever. But because I didn't stop, this blister popped, and the blister was like, it was crazy. It was bad, and it actually gave me like a stage 1 ulcer on my foot. So it was horrible. It was very, very bad. But if you didn't know, I just had a boot on. So people looking at me as I'm treating now, like, oh, how can you can't help me? Like you have a boot on. How are you gonna help me? If you have a boot on yourself, how are you gonna help me get through my PT? And if it's a new patient who hasn't seen me at all, they're super skeptical. But my current patient was like, oh, what happened to you? Are you okay? Do you need therapy? Can I treat you myself? Everybody making jokes. But I think the beauty of that is, once you go through those injuries, and you see how your body still works and you go through your own regimen of what you just said, right? Progressing yourself to do better and to change the system for whatever you need, then you see it actually works. And you have more confidence to give that same confidence to your patient or to your athlete or to your person. Say, look, I've already been through this myself. I know it works. So just trust you on this as we go through it together. So I'm curious for you. You said you had some experiences with injuries back in the day. How have those injuries helped you to now be a better trainer, a better clinician for your patients?
I guess before I answer that, I'm just gonna hit on what you said. You know, like you said, coming in, you're 43 years old, two meniscus tears, all these prior injuries, and I see on Instagram, like you said, my Instagram's crazy. I look on my Instagram, I see you running that marathon. I'm like I couldn't even run a marathon. Like, I did a half marathon, and my legs were done for days. And it's like I just look at this, I'm like, wow, like I hope at 43 I'm still running that much and working out that much. So that honestly is awesome and so inspiring. And then, so I guess going back to the question, I've dealt with a lot of injuries. I think playing football is such a physical sport.
Mhm.
Since the age of 7 has just, it kind of caught up with me in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the biggest, I guess, the more memorable injuries was in high school, junior year. Preparing to get a highlight tape together to go to play in college. My whole junior year, I ended up missing the season. So I broke my leg. I was out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm.
Um, went through regular. I went through. I actually did my physical therapy at 1-on-1, or I
Yeah.
think it was Jag One at that time. I think it
Mhm.
changed over, but did my physical therapy there 6 to 8 weeks, and I did my 6 to 8 weeks, and I said, okay, I'm better now. Let me go back into intensive gameplay.
Mhm.
And I kind of jumped back into the season. I personally think a little too early. And I finished off those few games and I felt I wasn't playing at my best. I wasn't as fast, I wasn't as sharp, I wasn't as strong. Um, and I didn't have the confidence on the field. And it just kind of motivated me to be like, hey, like, what am I doing? What did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? How can I adjust my training to make me better on this field? And that's been a big part of my drive with everything is
Mm.
just, taking those necessary steps, bridging that gap between, getting out of just rehabbing an injury to performing at a high level. And like you said, in these sports, basketball, football, there's a tremendous amount of torque and power and stress being put on your body. So you need to take those steps to kind of progress yourself to get back onto the field to either perform at what you were performing at or performing even better.
Mm.
And like I said, I think I just skipped those key aspects of training. The other piece was after high school. Luckily, I was lucky enough to play college football at Ithaca College, and playing there was just an awesome experience. But I will say there were a lot of things that kind of limited me. Um, I would constantly deal with low back pain. That was a big thing that would always kind of haunt me throughout the years of playing, and it was the same thing. It was like I would go into heavy lifts, heavy sessions, heavy workouts, and going into I'm like, why is my back always hurting me? Why is it always feeling like this? And it's like, well, what did I do during the summer? How
Mhm.
did I progress myself during the summer in a effective manner to get myself ready for the season, to get myself ready for preseason camp? And one thing that I always felt was I have this lower back pain. My hips are always tight. My hips were always tight. Um, and my upper back was always tight. My shoulders would get really tight. And yes, don't get me wrong, football is a very high impact, high contact sport. So you do need that tone. You do need that, I guess I say like tautness in your body to have that power, to have that force. But I think there's a way to make that balance a little better. And that's what I think the strength coaches of the world and learning a lot, striving to get my CSCS, um, I learned a lot in terms of bridging that gap between, maybe not just sitting and laying on your back doing a figure four stretch. Yes, I'm not knocking that exercise, but there's ways to maybe bridge that exercise to a high impact full contact in a football game. Um, and those I guess were two really big moments that just stuck out to me. Um, that where those are categories where it could have raised my potential on the field to just maybe being a little bit better.
Absolutely. I've been watching your Instagram for a while, and I think a lot of the videos you post on there where you're showing people doing traditional exercises like scat retractions or hip abductions, right? And then you're like, you know what, you're doing that, scratch that, do it this way. And I love it because it shows that you know, there are two ways, or sorry, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? You can do the traditional stuff, and that's fine. It's textbook, it's what everyone's doing, it's very basic, it's fine. It might not always be functional, but at least it works. And then there are ways, like you said, to bridge that gap where you can do the same movement or get the same result by doing things that are more functional or doing things that are going to be a little more progressive for you to be able to do something that you can actually do during the day, right? No one's sitting here just lifting their leg up to the side all day. We're not doing that, but we are doing side step movements. We are doing different, like you said, diagonals and whatever else. And those things are functional. But we don't do those things in the clinic all the time. We do what's textbook. We do what's easy, right? We do what's easy for us to write down on the paper, what's easier for us to share with the patient or for an HEP or home exercise program. But functionally speaking, we're so much more than that. And I'm curious, you keep mentioning about bridging this gap between ADLs and rehab and make sure people know what they can do to do more things that they're doing in their everyday lives. How can we, and I'm saying this to you as one of the newest grads coming out, right? Because I consider myself a little more seasoned now, and I get stuck in my ways sometimes too, right? Even though I'm trying to say, oh well, yeah, keep changing things up. I even sometimes for me say, you know what, my usuals. Let's go through my usual program today. But I think a lot of the newer grads coming out have a mentality of let's switch up the game a little bit. So, what are some of the ways that you're coming to the table now trying to bridge that gap? What's your plan, and what are some of the newer grads perspectives on making sure that the gap between the rehab and the ADLs is not just baseline, it is more a little more progressive.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like it's such a complex question because obviously everybody has their own timelines. Everybody has a certain amount of time in the day that they could dedicate to exercise. I guess the biggest things that I would say is make that time as efficient as possible. So, and that goes back to exos, what I was talking about, is where instead of doing, like you said, just the standing, like you talked about, just the retraction, how can we incorporate more muscles? How can we incorporate more of a full body global movement pattern? Can we introduce a retraction, maybe with maybe a single arm retraction, maybe in a lunging position? So it's like now I'm recruiting more glute, I'm recruiting more core, I'm recruiting lower body, and I'm building the ability to kind of develop force and power throughout my body and transfer force and power throughout my body. And I think that's so important. And not only is it important for, like you said, returning back to sport or ADL, but it's also important for guys like you or guys like that have a high volume of patients in the clinic and you need to get, and this is most clinics, you need to get the most bang for your buck with all that time. Like that's the reality that matters. Most physical therapists, you don't have an hour to spend with a patient. So it's and if you do, how can I use that hour as efficiently as possible, trying not to waste any time and targeting as many muscles as possible. And then it's like what I guess once, and that goes back to the adaptability, the creativity of it, and why that's so important. Um, but yeah, I just think efficiency and as well as functional, and functional in terms of relating it back to your sport, relating it back to what you do every day,
Yeah,
is really important.
yeah. Now, Christian, you have an online app called CorePT. Talk to listeners about what CorePT is all about.
Yeah, so Core PT, I actually started this with my good friend. I've grown up with him since I want to say 3 years old. So me and my friend Rob Masucci, he's also a physical therapist. Um, and we started this mainly to just what we're talking about right now, to get that message out for the people who, all right, I did my round of traditional physical therapy, maybe coming back from a surgery, maybe coming back from a serious injury, or just just a minor injury. How can I now, you know like we talked about, bridging the gap between that and now how can I get that person to get more comfortable in the gym, get more comfortable in the field, comfortable on the court, or whatever they're trying to get more comfortable at, comfortable in the house. um how can we now get them to being strong and powerful and fast, and maybe they're trying to lose some weight, maybe they want to you know look good for the summer. There's so many different goals, but it's how can we kind of bridge the the that transition, and um like I said, everybody's got different goals, but I think the biggest thing about core PT and what we offer is it's not just a, hey, here's a 10-pound weight loss program, there you go, and just give it a follow. No, like what we love about the app is we have a full communication system. So we can take video calls, we can take phone calls, you can message us. There's a whole system where if you're struggling with something that maybe right that day, an exercise just doesn't feel right, something starts bothering you, shoot us a message, shoot us a text. We could talk a little more what's going on. So it's a little more, um, I want to say, a little more hands-on from, just a program that we just throw out to you, which I think we're seeing that more and more. A lot of influencers, a lot of people just giving you this one-time package, which don't get me wrong, definitely could work for a lot of people. But I think what we want to target is those people that those don't work for. So there's a big group of people that can't just follow something because they might have a flare up, something might go wrong. And I think having someone to be able to reach out to and guide you through that flare up and guide you through that, you know, or maybe it's just I'm not feeling good in the gym. I'm not feeling confident. I'm not feeling strong. How could we kind of change it up, or throw some different stuff at you? Maybe go back and reassess and do certain things like that to make it the experience a little better. But the app itself offers, like I said, that communication piece, which I think is the most important part. But it also offers video guided workouts, so full workout plans um, with right on access on your phone, videos with each exercise, takes you through each exercise, reps, sets, rest periods, um, progressive loading through all phases. And the other piece is, which I think is very important, especially when it comes to performance, is a nutritional piece. So nutrition and hydration. Macros, micros, talking about getting your proteins in, how much carbs, how much fats, and then looking at the micros, vitamins, minerals, making sure you're eating your veggies, eating your fruits, which also helps with gut health and keeping your stomach happy and keeping your organs happy. And I think that's so important because if you're not feeling good, you're most likely not going to one perform at your best or even perform at all. So
Mm.
I think that's an awesome piece that I think they added to the app as well. And the last piece that I like through the app is the progress tracking. So it tracks what weight you were using for the past week or so. It tracks, how much weight you lost, what you've been eating for the past few weeks. And it's such a cool tool because when someone reaches out to me and they're like, I can't seem to, I'm not getting stronger. I can't seem
Mm.
to lose this weight. Let's look back. And we look back a few weeks and we see, this is the trend you've been following. This is why you haven't. So we have that proof. And, it just makes the rapport between you and the client or patient so much better. But it's honestly it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Yeah, I actually use it myself. So
Man, that's incredible.
yeah.
So you made an app and it's out there now. How can people sign up for it? How much does it cost?
So the sign up is through Instagram. So if you go through Instagram, there's other ways. It's core.fitbud.com if you want to just use it through a URL. But if you go to onto Instagram, you go into there's a link right under my bio, and you hit that. There's two links. So one link is a startup questionnaire. Highly recommend doing that first because this just asks you a few basic questions just to give me a better understanding of where you want to start, maybe what's going on with you, just so we can get a little more rapport going on. From there, I personally like to get a phone call with you and just a casual consultation where we just two people talking, get so I can get a little bit know a little bit more about you, you can know a little bit more about me. From there, there's another link that says uh, sign up for the app. So you hit that, takes you to my website. You hit let's get started today. The program I have on there right now is one that I've been working on for a few years, and I think credit to Exos Physical Therapy, they've really helped me hone in um, the progressions, the regressions, the movements patterns, and all the different exercises, and help me hone that in and just put it all together into a plan that kind of one works on, like we talked about, improving your ability to move, improving your movement patterns, two, improving your strength, improving your speed, improving your mobility. And I think all these components kind of mesh together in a great way. So that specific program is on there right now for $20 a month. Um, it's affordable, and like I said, that's less than most programs you'll see out there. And
Mm.
I just think it's that communication piece is what really makes it to me and to most of my clients so worth it. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm always impressed when people take matters into their own hands and say, you know what? I'm going to do what I think is going to be the best way for us to get our message out there. And especially with technology changing every single minute, having platforms like this are incredible for people to have access to you with so much experience, right? So much to give, so much to learn from. I think it's beautiful. And yeah, I'm curious now if you could share um, your top three fitness tips. And I ask every trainer who comes on, every PT who comes on, I ask what their top three fitness tips are because I feel like everyone has different ones. But I do think that listeners love to hear any kind of insight that may either be connected to your app, CorePT, or just to what you as an AT and a PT um, believe as the best things for us to do in terms of fitness in general. So I know you mentioned macros and when it comes to nutrition, but what are your top three fitness tips you want to share with listeners right now?
So I guess one, uh, I'm gonna go with, find a routine that's sustainable and consistent. That's sustainable and that you can be consistent with. A lot of the times you see these fads where they'll go on these carnivore diets, these vegan diets, and don't get, I'm not knocking them, but for me, I know personally that isn't to me sustainable for me. Coming from an Italian family, we like to eat pasta, we like to eat, meatballs, things like that. So it's like that's not sustainable for me. But what's sustainable for me is eating whole foods, making sure I'm getting enough veggies, getting enough fruits. Just minimizing the trans fats, the saturated fats, the amount of, artificial stuff I'm eating, sugar, uh, high salt things. So those are the types of things that I like to focus more on, sustainability.
Mhm.
And then in terms of consistency, that comes, I think, day in, day out, you're doing, I like to follow the 80-20 rule. 80% good, give yourself that 20% to kind of enjoy yourself, live life. So it's like you need that little bit of, wiggle room to kind of, and that comes back to sustainability as well. So you need that little bit of, you know, that time to kind of enjoy yourself, enjoy life. And I think and experience different things, experience different foods. And I'll admit, I'm a foodie. Whenever I'm going out with my friends, we like to go try new places, go try new spots to eat. So I'm guilty there, but I think it's if you could wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be 80% good today.
Mhm.
Majority of my day, I'm gonna make sure I'm doing the right thing."
Mhm.
And you're doing that day in, day out, not just when you're feeling like doing it. It should be an everyday type of thing. And a lot of people Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I could take off. I'm good. I could just do my own thing. Like change that mentality to where every day is just another day.
Mhm.
I think that's so important for people to kind of transition that mentality because it keeps you more structured, it keeps you on task. And I think and just a real quick off topic piece, I've been training my uncle and my dad for since I got out of college. So a few years now. And it's honestly like it's been awesome. Like it's been really rewarding. And I think being able to like instill these specific tips into them has been like really rewarding for me because I see how far they come.
Mhm.
And that's just a little off topic piece. But then so number two, I'd say be patient and trust the process slash journey. And off of that, try not to compare yourself to everything you see on social media. I think
Mhm.
that's really important because there's a lot of there's a lot on social media that's really cool, and like you said, like you see influencers doing this, doing that, um, but don't let that kind of discourage you um, from your journey. Because guess what? You might know a few years from now, you might be just as at that person's level of fitness or higher. It's like, and I think just one being patient and trusting that process in the journey. Um, whether that be Monday, you don't feel so good, workout went horrible. It's like, all right, tomorrow we're gonna get back at it. We're gonna do it again. I'm gonna trust the process and just keep going. And that's very important. But the other piece of that is, you know what? Tuesday, it's still not feeling good. This isn't, and this is going on. I'm getting a lot of pain. That's where I think circling back to the communication piece on the app is so important because now maybe we do have to make an adjustment. Maybe we do have to make a change.
Mhm.
And then three, I'd say find your purpose or your why. You know, whether that be a one of our clients on the app, she was a dancer, and she was having a lot of hip pain. She wanted to get back to dancing, but she was really having trouble, and that was her purpose. That was her why, and I think that's what kind of gave her that drive to, you know, get on the app every day, hit her workouts every day, communicate with us every day, and that's what got her back to Broadway and got her back on the dance floor, and and maybe another situation like one of my other clients was, you know, a school teacher, and has 3 kids at home. She's pregnant, looking to have about to have another baby, and for her it was more of very, she just was low on energy. She wanted to feel better about herself, and I think that's another scenario where exercise could really help and movement could really help, because now, and I've been training with her for a few years, and I'll tell you now, she's locked, she's dedicated, she's locked in. She's always reaching out to me about modifications. She's reaching out to me about certain exercises, about the program. And I've just seen like a complete 180
Hmm.
of her mentality and her mindset. And I'm just so proud of her. And that's been awesome to see.
Hmm.
So like I said, find your purpose, find your why. So I think those are my three. Find a routine that's sustainable and you can be consistent with. Be patient and trust the process. Don't compare yourself to other people. And number three, find your purpose and find your why.
Yep, I love all of those. I love all of them, and I preach those same things to my clients and my running club members as well. And they're gems. They're gems. I think the challenge is that some people can do it for a while and then they fall off, right? Because I mean, it's great. Yes, find your why. The 80/20 rule is crucial because yeah, we can't have, you can't say, oh, I was great for this week. Now I take a whole week off. No, no, no. We gotta be consistent, right? So let's make sure that this day, I mean, the whole Be More Today premise is based on that. Be more today. Do whatever you have to do today. And yes, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to hit all the reps you want to in your workout. You're not going to get all the veggies in. You might not even get all the water you want to get in today, but you're trying, you're putting the work in to get that thing done. And then do it again tomorrow. And then do it again on Thursday. And then do it again on Friday. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people struggle with because we all want to be great, right? We all want to go out here and do the best that we can, whether it's fitness because we're trying to do a race or just to keep living, right? But I think sometimes people get so caught up in, man, I messed up on Tuesday, so I'm back to square zero. I'm back at my baseline. No, 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 no. You had a bad day, no problem. Let's make sure tomorrow is a better day. Go out there and start back up again. Get back on the horse. Remember your why. Remember what you're trying to do. Get back on those certain things. And yeah, I think the struggle for some people is that when they lose a day or they fall on a day, they get so frustrated that they don't want to keep going and they feel like they let themselves down or they maybe let their trainer down, right? And I think the communication piece you're talking about in your app seems like it's something that where people do fall off the wagon a little bit, you can reel them in, right? And the beauty of that is you have one-on-one contact with them on a regular basis. When it comes to the clinic, sometimes we don't see people for a while. So I'm gonna see someone for like a week and they'll come to me and say, "Oh, sorry, I was just home. I kind of didn't do anything since the last time I saw you." I'm like, "Yo, what? What do you mean you didn't do anything since the last time you saw me? Come on, we got stuff to do." So, I think finding more ways like your platform to communicate with people. We have RTM, which I know you probably know about already, which is remote therapeutic monitoring, where we can actually connect with people on a regular basis to see how they're doing. But I think just finding more ways for us to connect with our clients, with our people, to keep them accountable. And I mean that goes in life too. But when it comes to health and fitness, accountable to make sure that they're hitting their goals, that's where we should be going for the future. So I'm proud of you, Carlin. You've been doing some great work, man. Some great work, and I'm super excited for the future for you. And I'm just curious if you had um your platform so people can follow you on social media or otherwise. Where can people follow you, connect with you, learn more about you and your journey, and continue to watch you as you continue to do great things on social media and otherwise? Where can they look for you?
So Corlando.fitness on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And like I said, link in the bio, fill out that startup form. feel free if you could even just start with a DM. My email's on there, my number's on there. Reach out to me, whatever, whatever you're comfortable with. If you're looking for something like that, reach out. And I think it's so important. The more people I reach out to, the better, because I think guys like us, me and you, I think the more people we could reach out to and connect with, the more we can kind of change this idea of that fitness is just this one-time thing if you get injured, or no, it's more of a preventative thing. It's something that keeps you healthier for the long run. It decreases the chances of getting these horrible chronic illnesses, and you know as well as keeps you on the field, keeps you on the court. So I think yeah, reach out to me. Let's get started, let's get going.
Awesome. Awesome. Corlando, you rock, bro. I really appreciate you so much. And I'm excited to call you my colleague. I mean, it's really amazing. I love seeing it. When you're practicing for as long as I have, you see the progression of so many people, and to see you from where you were to where you are and where you're going, I'm just excited. And I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your dedication to fitness and health and wellness for those who are around you. I appreciate your creativity with your app. And I wish you the best for all your endeavors. And I got to have you on the show again to talk more about nutrition next time. We'll have a whole show, I think, just based on that. And you can give us some tips on your top 3 nutrition tips for those to listen to. That'd be great. That'd be great. So we'll have you on the show again sometime this year.
Thanks for having me, Sean, and honestly, I'd love to be back because this was awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Folks, he's shared so many things today, so many gems, right? His 3 tips about fitness, and you got to go out there and just be consistent, know your why. Um, and the comparison syndrome thing is a real thing, right? Instagram is beautiful. It gives you so many different um, glimpses into people's lives. Sometimes it's accurate and sometimes it's not. But as long as you stay in your lane, like we always talk about on the show, right? Staying in your lane and making sure that you do what you have to do to be the best version of you. That's what we're looking for. Consistency in your lane. Stay in your lane, get those things done. And the 80-20 rule is real. You're not going to have great days every single day, but go out there and like the quote says, movement, just keep moving. It's not just about physical health. It's a powerful remedy for the soul. In the rhythm of our steps and the beat of our hearts, we find a path to vitality and peace. Orlando talked about it in various ways. He's found his peace in this thing I have as well as mine. And I hope that you go out there this week and you're more active in anything that you're doing. If you're looking for a progression or some kind of a structure, go on Orlando's website, check out the app CorePT, and get started, folks. $20 a month is not a lot. Talk about paying a personal trainer or a trainer to get you through those things. Go on that site and check it out today. And I hope that you will continue to be more in 2024. We'll see you next time. Peace.